Good morning guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bareham Engines. So guys, it's all kicking off here, Monday morning, busy already, and we're only about an hour in. We've got a head over there being refaced, a manifold being refaced over there. That will probably be in the next video actually, because today we are going to be cracking on with the Golf R engine. So it's not a strip down because we got the engine stripped unfortunately, but it is going to be a fast road engine, track day use, etc. It's turbocharged, so we've got all the whistles and the bells there. So it's an assembly video really, and there's going to be a part 2 maybe tomorrow. Also, we've got a little update on the E30. I know many of you have missed the updates on that, obviously because Mikey Dove has got the body at the moment. Doing a wonderful job, so we can't wait to get over there and show you what he's done and the progress on that. But yeah, got a little bit of an update there. Let's head over to that Golf and start the assembly process. So guys, the Golf R, as you can see, we've got all the bits laid out here. So we've got the nice new Marla Motorsport pistons there, which we've got to obviously do a dummy build, check the heights on there. We've got the Bridgeway rods, which as you all may know by now, I really do rate. They're an excellent rod and really good value for money. We've got the cylinder head here, obviously in bits. We've got to do the seats. Now we've got our nice fancy valve seat cutter. We've got to reface the head, obviously put all the valves in with new valve stem seals, etc. The guides are perfect. So the block, what state are we in here? So we've given it a thorough clean. As you can see, I put one piston and rod down the hole, no cranking yet. We have got the ARP mains studs in, and this is the block that we've sent away to have line honed. So we've took half a thou out of these, out of the bores here, with the caps obviously torqued down. They closed up to about half a thou and left us with about 1.5 thou running clearance. So we took those out half a thou. Not only has it trued them up, but it has also given us about 2 thou running clearance, which is absolutely perfect. So next step, we're going to turn this thing over. We've got the crankshaft here all checked, polished, didn't have to grind it, and it's all balanced, perfect. We're going to get that crankshaft in, torque it down, and we're going to check the height of this piston. So that is the first step. Then we are going to put all the pistons, providing that the height's okay on this one, we're going to put all the pistons on the rods and get all those down the holes too. If we do have to take some off this piston, we're obviously going to take the same off the others. So let's get that crank in the block. So if we take this big end cap off, ensuring to keep it in order, then what we do is just oil up these main bearings. Don't want to go over the top with it. And then we, obviously with a clean finger, just smear that around that main bearing. Getting a nice coating on each shell. So you can see that rod that I've got in there, I've loaded a big end shell into it. Obviously, so when the crank goes in, I haven't got to start trying to load a bearing in. Before I go any further, the bearing that I've loaded in there, you can see there, if you look at the bearings top and bottom, there's two different, or visibly it looks different. And the reason for that is these are sputter bearings. So if any of you have not heard of sputter bearings before, what you do, you've got a conventional bearing one side and a sputter type the other. Now the sputter type is, obviously you can see it's more of a dull complexion as opposed to the normal shiny. And that is, basically you can take up to about 50% more of the load. The reason these were designed was mainly, obviously we're using it for a performance application on the thrust side, so obviously on the con rod where it takes most of the load on the firing, but they were predominantly sort of designed really for the turbocharged diesels because there's such high compression. And obviously diesels these days, people forget what they were like 30 years ago, but they are quite high performance now. So yeah, they're of dual complexion, so you've got to make sure, don't get confused into putting the main sputter bearings if you do use mains, which we're not here, we're just using a performance one. But the sputter bearing, so if we're looking at it from the side the block is, the sputter bearing will go on the rod side for the big ends, and for the mains it will go in the cap side, because obviously the load is on the crank going the opposite way. That is a sputter type bearing, guys. As you can see, these are tagless because the original ones don't have tags on, and these are a replica of the originals, although we've got the tag grooves in the rods, but that doesn't matter at all. All you've got to do is just centre these up. We'll put those bearings in the other com rods over there, but we'll just get the crank in this block now and torque it up. So making sure that the one we got the rod in there obviously goes in line. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to load the thrust bearings up into this block. So what I do with the thrusts is oil both sides and make sure the side that goes to the block is the opposite side to the groove. So you've got the white metal on this side and you've got the steel backing on this side which goes to the block, so make sure that that is correct. The amount of times that we've took sumps off in the past because we're paranoid that we've put them round the wrong way when we've gone to bed at night. Oil both sides. And just slide it round. So now they're in, we're going to put the main bearings into the caps. So we've got the bearing in the cap, just oil it lightly there. Smear it over with your finger, making sure you don't get oil on these surfaces. So this one is number 5. Tap that down lightly. So this is the centre main. So obviously in the centre main here is where the thrusts are in the block. But you can see with this main cap there is no thrusts. Usually there's 2 pairs of thrusts and one set will go into the cap, but this one is plain, so we've just got the 2 in the block there.
What are these then, Lee?
This, my friend, going by the Comp Brake Motorsport, this is the E30 brakes. Now, we haven't updated you on the E30 for a week or 2, is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Just to keep the people that are not
Long
too
enough.
interested. Yeah, long enough, but unfortunately, we're going to have an update now because the brakes have arrived. So what we got here is...
Oh, that's all good.
So these be the centres. Obviously, because we're keeping the 4-stud pattern, no point changing the 5-stud because we are going centre locks. So don't really matter, does it?
No, not really.
So yeah,
Keep it the same. Got some nice
braided lines.
So like brackets.
Obviously brackets. So whether that's the front or rear, I don't know. The bolts. What we got here? We got ceramic pads.
Ooh. Free sticker, mate.
Nice sticker. Hawk pads. These are. Ever heard of them?
Nope, never heard of them.
Apparently quite good. But we'll soon see. The only main thing is, as long as they stop us well, but also I don't want them to squeak.
No.
Because that would be bloody irritating. So, this is all very exciting, Isaac.
Yeah. I reckon these are the discs, isn't it? Maybe not.
These look like calipers. Look at these little beauties.
Oh, they look nice, mate.
They be your front calipers, 6 pots.
They're very nice.
Look pretty trick, don't they?
Yeah.
Hopefully they work well. So you can, with these, you can go for 3 different colours of anodising: silver, gold, or black. We've obviously gone with black to keep the dark theme throughout the car.
Nice.
Otherwise, it will clash with the bright orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice they are.
Very cool.
So we've gone for 6 pots on the front with 330, I think 335 milled discs on the front. And 4 pots on the back with 320 rotors. Look at them little beauties.
They're massive. They're huge, aren't they?
I don't know which ones these are. Should we measure them?
That's got to be the fronts.
You reckon?
Yeah, the size of them.
The backs ain't that much smaller, mind.
Really?
No. Yeah, these are the fronts.
Yeah.
335s.
So, look at the vents
Obviously.
in there. Got the all on an angle.
Very nice, mate. What do you reckon?
Very cool.
I remember what we've ordered now. 32.
Yeah.
That's all you want, isn't it? Really? Beasts.
Yeah.
Next. So it's quite nice now with this E30. Obviously, we're on a bit of a downer for a while because we're ordering away. Everyone's giving me the comments of, oh, what a money pit, why are you bothering in that? There's a catalogue there.
Nice.
With an Escort Cosy on the front just to rub it in. Yeah, so everyone's giving it negative comments really about wasting money, and obviously all we had to show for quite a lot of money, let's be honest, with all these bits, just a rough old shell. But now Mikey's getting on with the shell. He's completed pretty much the roll cage, which is looking fantastic, and we will show you pictures of that soon. But now we're starting to see a few trick bits turn up. So obviously they're the centres for the rear.
Oh yeah.
What we've got here, well, that's the
Brackets.
That's the mounting brackets for the rear. And obviously the bolts, braided lines. So yeah, I can't remember how I heard a comp brake now.
Oh.
Nice, mate.
Yeah, they're nice.
What
Definitely a bit
What you
smaller.
done to your head?
Huh?
What you done to your head?
No, I was thinking.
What?
Trying to think how you heard of them.
Nice though.
Yeah, they look good.
Looks smart with the, imagine with the centre lock hubs and that.
They're deep as well, them grooves.
Nice, isn't it?
Very cool.
That's the
cool.
brakes arrived, guys.
So that box? Oh, that'll be more pads, will it?
This is the, obviously the rear calipers, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Maybe. These are the old 4-pot caliper on the rear.
They're pretty big.
They're like most people's front brakes, aren't they?
Bigger than my front brakes.
On the rear. So yeah, really, really happy with that, mate. Looked like
Yeah.
a good item. And all this was pretty much £2,000, which I think's cheap.
It's not bad, like.
Not really. So time will tell. Obviously it's a fairly light car, so they should work pretty well. But yeah, exciting times. Starting to see a few of the bits that we've ordered for the E30.
Very cool.
Happy days. Every day's Christmas here. So we've got all our main caps on now. Now what we're going to do is put the main studs on. So we've got this graphite paste here, which is an ALP paste. And what we do is we put a bit inside so it glues the threads, and just a bit on the surface, the mating surface of the nut. So next stage on this is torquing the mains bolts up. So it says on the box for these size ARPs 80 foot-pounds. So it is a sequence. You start from the middle outwards basically. And then from the centre one you go on the diagonal. A bit like a head torque sequence really. So we've torqued that up now, guys, to 80 foot-pound, and that you can see that crank turns absolutely lovely. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over now and check our piston height. Now we've got our crank on proper TDC. We've got the rings on this piston, and the reason for that is so it stays sort of central rather than flopping about. It's just easier to measure the jut out of this piston. Now the story is with this block, I had to take about 10 thou off this block face because it was quite bad. It was blowing around a couple of areas and quite corroded on the outside. So we've basically just got to measure this piston jut out here and see what we've got. So we take our heart gauge, and what I do is I'll measure from this area, and then we'll average it out. And that should give us the sort of overall piston height. So on this one, we've got about 7 thou there. And about the same on that side. So that's a 7 thou jut out. If it was sort of 5 and 7, then it would average out to 6 thou. But that's, we'll say 7 thou there. Now what we want to be aiming for on this, because this is a steel I-beam rod, sorry, H section rod, we need to be leaving between the head and the piston. We need to be leaving about 40 thou, so 1 millimetre for all you metric heads. If we measure this head gasket, we've got 32 thou there. So apparently the compressed gasket height is 25 thou, and on these steel rods they recommend about 40 thou. So we've got 7 thou to take off to get it flush with the block, and then to get our 40 thou we've got to go another 15. So we need to be taking 22 thou off the top of this piston, and that will give us 40 thou, or 1 millimetre between the piston height and the head, because obviously with a steel rod this is a turbo application going for big power, and there's going to be some stretch, etc., and you've got to get the right squish on the outside. So we're going to aim for 40 thou, take 22 off the outside of all these pistons, and that should be absolutely fine then, and we can get these put in the block and double checked. Well guys, thanks very much for watching today's video. Until hopefully tomorrow, you never know, or Wednesday, have a great evening and we'll see you then. Cheers guys.